Hey folks, welcome back to another Dice Tower preview. I'm Mark, and today we're taking a look at Euthia, Torment of Resurrection. Euthia is brought to you by Dia Games. It's for 1 to 4 players, ages 14 and up, and games range anywhere in the neighborhood of 60 to 120 minutes per player. Are you prepared? For you will face the threat of 3 mighty dragons born from the darkness, who are scourging the land of Euthia. And you will have to deal with monsters and dangerous creatures plaguing the land. Search for legendary artifacts, experience nature's raw elemental power as it influences your steps. Fulfill quests to help the struggling people of Euthia. There are plenty of strategic options on your side. Choose from a wide range of armor, weapons, spells, and magical jewelry. An open playstyle allows for every hero to play the way they choose. Euthia, Torment of Resurrection is a competitive strategy board game where you take the role of one of 5 heroes. Your heroes wander through an open world of fantasy landscape represented by the modular tile-based map. On each turn, players use action tokens which can be spent on either combat, trade, mining, or used for movement. And a branching chain of skills allows for all kinds of hero customization. At the beginning of every game, you will choose one of 3 scenarios to play. Each scenario represents an attempt to kill or repel one of the mighty dragons. Successfully repelling or killing the dragon will provide the hero with reputation, as does most of the actions the player performs throughout the game. The hero with the highest reputation at the end of the game is the winner. So you will get to choose one of 5 amazing heroes, and these are your fantasy type heroes, right? You have your wizards, your warriors, things of that nature, and there are several to choose from. Now, they all have their own skills, which is really cool, and they all start with some skills, but what's neat here, as you gain reputation in the game, you get to tap into more and more of these abilities for your character. Really a cool aspect to this game, and it definitely gives me that Diablo feel. Now, the thing is your board also tracks your health and of course all your equipment and different items that you can carry. So, the board is laid out in such a way that it makes everything easily accessible and it all is clear and straightforward. Now, the thing about reputation is that, kind of like a sandbox game, there are multiple ways to gain this reputation. So gold is one of the big ways to gain reputation in this game. You'll have items, you have places you've unlocked, you can turn things back into gold and use that to get even more reputation. You also will be using the main area or the board and traveling the land and mining areas. You'll be discovering areas, perhaps treasure, and areas that you may have trained in will gain you reputation as well. And of course, fighting monsters, going up against your fellow players who will be controlling those monsters and gaining reputation for defeating them. And of course, for fighting and defeating the big dragon, you'll be gaining all kinds of reputation there. So there's multiple ways to do that, and there's really some neat paths in how you choose what you're gonna do. Just finding treasure is really fantastic. So those are just some of the ways to gain that reputation as you travel throughout the game. Now, each setup of this game is going to be different based on the players and based on the scenario that you choose, so we're not going to really dive into that as much, but let's take a little bit closer look at the play area as you expand and move throughout this world. And so these tiles are what you're going to be using to build out this world. Now, there are different Roman numerals on these, and they are basically dictating or showing you the different levels of the areas you're going to be entering into. As you move through 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, it gets more difficult, especially with the monsters. So the thing though is that based on that scenario, you may not use all of these. It just depends on the setup. Another way to get reputation is via quests. So when you pull a tile and you happen to see a question mark, that's one of the big ways you're going to be doing quests in this game. And you're going to be trying to fulfill the needs of that quest. And there's so many different quests here and different levels and different types that really keeps the game fresh and unique. Now, as you flip over these tiles, you'll also notice there's several other icons. You're looking for icons that may be places you can trade or where you can train things like that, and maybe natural resources, mining, so forth, like in the mountains and things like that. And when you do that, you're going to be pulling tiles from over here based on those natural resources and giving you ore or whatever that calls for. Like in this case, we have onyx, and it's going to be able to be something you put in your backpack, but you know, the thing is that you can also use it to get reputation, or it might be used in a quest. So you might hold on to these until you know exactly where you need them for. But there's all kinds of natural resources that you can tap into in this game. Now, also, if you look at the board, like I said before, you'll see that there's monsters. And some of the areas, especially when you go to trade, where you go to the different areas to buy stuff from the merchants and things of that nature, you may have to clean out the area from monsters first. And it's important again that their fellow players at the table will be controlling those monsters. So as you're spending these tokens to do actions, especially movement, you'll move them off the board to denote what you've used. Now, it's a trade-off. As you use movement, you may have to give up combat for this round. But the thing is that your movement isn't restricted in a way that you have to move and then be done. You can actually move partial movement and then do an action and then finish your move, which is really handy for a lot of things you'll be doing out in this world. So combat in this game is very straightforward. The nice thing is that you don't have to worry about controlling the monster on your turn unless you're playing the solo game, which then has its own deck of cards, which really worked well when I tried it out. But the other players at the table will be controlling those monsters. And you need to look as your hero. You might have first strike abilities that allow you to engage quickly. Those are things to keep in mind. Now, you're going to be rolling dice, and your opponent will be rolling dice. It'll all be based on the different monster that you're fighting. You'll flip over that card, and you'll do that roll-off. Now, you as the hero could be doing all kinds of prep. You could be drinking potions, you know, gearing up which weapons and items you're going to use. There could be scrolls involved. So you'll combine all that up and add your totals and apply damage to the monster, or the monster will be applying damage to you, and so forth, back and forth until the monster is defeated. And the monsters also have cards and items and things that they can tap into for those battles. But really what you're looking at is once you defeat the monster, then you'll get a reward, and typically it's gold. And also if it was an area where you want to trade in, then you have the ability to trade in that spot, which is really handy as well, because there's all kinds of fantastic items you're going to want to add to your board. And a lot of the things on your board you'll be adding, you may have to pay a cost in order to place those items or unlock that spot, so to say, which is really handy and really gives you, again, that sense of leveling up your character. And so, after all the players use their actions to either move, mine, trade, or do combat, then you end that round. And you'll be tracking that and moving it along this board. Now, the thing is that depending on the scenario, will determine when the dragon appears based on the rounds and once you get there. And once you do, then let's say Faeruga comes out. Now, the interesting thing here about Faeruga is that he has different levels that you can use in the game depending on the scenario and so forth. But then you'll flip his attack card. And based on what attack card comes up will determine where he's attacking from. It might be in multiple locations, or in this case, it could be the Dragon Slayer's Tower. So there's all kinds of possibilities that can happen in these battles. But you'll see down at the bottom, as you roll and do attacks, he has a base attack, plus he might do even more damage to you if you do a low number attack. But for your higher number attacks, you're generally going to get reputation for hitting him. And of course, whoever does the final blow on the dragon is going to get reputation for that. And so the game's going to go on and on like this. You're going to go round after round, gaining resources, leveling up your character, getting ready for the dragon. And then you'll engage in the dragon in those last rounds. And at the end of the game, you're going to be possibly even selling off stuff to get as much gold as possible in order to count your reputation higher and higher and see who is the ultimate dragon slayer and who has saved Euthia from the dreaded menace. All right, folks, just a reminder once again, this has been a Dice Tower paid preview. Everything you've seen here has been in prototype form, so keep a close eye on the campaign for any changes that still may occur. Now, with that said, you know this game has a special place for me because it really does have that Diablo-esque feel to it. And I love the feeling of moving through and getting the better equipment, getting the better skills as you move up in reputation, just really leveling up your character in preparation for that final battle with the dreaded dragon. Now, along the way, we didn't dive into every little thing here. There's some fantastic reference guides here for as you score at the end of the game. And there's even gems and things that can level up your different equipment, or maybe gems and things you need to find for quests, things like that. So this game has a lot going for it. It has a huge, beautiful table presence. And I have to say that, I get a lot of prototypes, and this game in this prototype looks completed and finished. It's just a simply beautiful game. And I found the gameplay to be really engaging. And for all you solo players out there, the AI deck for dealing with monsters and things really works well. I didn't have any issues. It was fantastic. But ultimately, folks, if this looks like something that would be of interest to you, I'm sure they'd appreciate your support. So I think that's it for me. And until next time, we'll see you at the table.
Thanks so much for watching another Dice Tower video. If you enjoy our videos, subscribe to the channel for more fun, comprehensive board game coverage. Also, consider joining us at one of our events. Come to Dice Tower Retreat, a small, intimate gathering where gaming is king. Join us for Dice Tower Cruise, the largest board game cruise. Attend Dice Tower West in Las Vegas for gaming fun on the West Coast, or Dice Tower East in Orlando in sunny Florida. Dice Tower Conventions, the friendliest gaming conventions on Earth. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.